Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh shoot, I just realized I didn't put any subjects in the heading. Day 181 of 365. Journey to Greatness with David McDonald, the GOAT. 6 months and 1 day. All right. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, Khadijah. All righty, so first we're going to get into our meditation routine. So after our meditation routine, we're going to get into our journaling routine and then our reading routine. Or our reading routine, then our journaling routine. So I'll see you guys on the other side. If you need some help with how to meditate, reach out to me after the session. I'm more than happy to help. Darn it. Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back. Currently, we are reading Relentless by Tim Grover. Nearly halfway done with the book. If you're reading, we usually prefer, or it's your first time, we usually prefer to, well, at least I should say, I usually prefer to read out of a book, because reading on your screen, it's like, all day long, we're on our screens, we're on our phones, we're looking at screens, TV, this, that, and the other. So I kind of like the traditional way of resting our eyes and laying them upon, the pages of a book. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to me, of course, and I'll see you guys on the other side. All right. All right, my friends, welcome back. Welcome back. So, we just finished our reading routine, and now we're going to get into our journaling routine. If you're joining us for the first time, our journaling routine is a good opportunity to get your ideas down on paper. Um, I usually like to start off by, thanking God for waking me up this morning and giving me exceptional health. And then I go into showing my gratitude to things that I experienced yesterday. So, as simple as, having a car to perform my duties at my work, or, you know, thinking forward to, what I plan to do today and what I plan to have the outcomes be, in a week or in a month or in a year, etc. So, really good way to get your ideas down on paper, and show your gratitude and things through, on paper also. So, if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Alrighty, my friends, welcome back. So, we just finished our journaling routine, and there was a few points in our book. I'm gonna get ready to go to get to work here soon, so we won't spend too much time on this. But essentially, what the book is saying now is, when you're a cleaner, you are always clutch. If you're a closer, you are clutch in high pressure situations, and if you're a cooler, you're never clutch. Or you're never in a situation where you have to be clutch. So, if you're just joining us for the first time, this book talks about 3 different types of people. You have coolers who are good. You have closers who are great, and you have cleaners who are unstoppable. And so the whole point of this book, Relentless, is to go from great to unstoppable, or good to great and then to unstoppable. So there is no clutch gene. There's your predatory instinct that tells you to attack and finish the fight, and there's the readiness to know how and when to do that. Preparation plus opportunity. That's it. If you're a true competitor, you always feel that pressure to attack and conquer. You thrive on it. You intentionally create situations to jack up the pressure even higher, challenging yourself to prove what you're most capable of. But being relentless means constantly working for that result, not just when drama is on the line. Clutch is about the last minute. Relentless is about every minute. When you start that high, you have a lot farther to fall, and you hit the ground a lot harder from that height. For a lot of guys, it's easier to stay in the comfort zone, close to the ground, minimal expectations, minimal pressure, minimal rewards, but you're safe. So to be clutch is to be operating at all times. Now, in a non-athletic setting, so in a normal world where we go to work, we do our profession. When we're grinding to get to a goal, it's like we're holding our breath sometimes, and it's like, yeah, we have to find that release. Excuse me. I didn't hold that breath. And one came right out. But so my point here is when we're in our work environment, when we're in our workspace, or when we're on our way, like, for example, 365 days, which is, where we're going here. It's like I'm holding my breath. I feel like I'm holding my breath. It's like I'm so focused and so dialed on achieving my goals that I have set for these 365 days. Like, my focus is like laser sharp. And at all times, it feels like there's pressure. There's pressure in the field. Not pressure as if I need to sell, I need to do this, I need to do that. No, it's more like, okay, every day is a new day to improve yourself. Every day is a new day to improve life. Every day is a new day to innovate new ideas into the business. Every day is a new day to be more efficient, etc., etc. It's just that relentless feeling of always being better. And it's totally lifestyle change. It may be a little excessive in the sense of, we're pushing ourselves to go higher and higher, but we're learning the skill of being relentless, so we know at least what it feels like to be. A lot of people prefer to just stay low, and fly closer to the floor, to the ground, and just get by. And that's all, and that's all okay. And most likely, most prevalent and seen or unseen. We don't really know. We don't really care. But it's a lot easier to not have the pressure on you, obviously, right? To be comfortable, to just live your life as it is, and not dream so big, because there's a possibility of what if you fail, a number of things, But for those who are striving and searching for more, the whole idea, like I said, of being relentless is taking your game from great to being like unstoppable by raising the bar over and over again. So still all about the pressure, performance, and pushing the edge of his comfort zone farther and farther back, just to test his own limits, assuming he's ending. That's a cleaner. A cleaner controls the pressure he feels, and he never looks to anyone else. And he never looks to anyone else to control it. You have to prove yourself every day, over and over. The internal pressure to establish yourself as the best is unrelenting. But when you walk in the door with everyone already telling you you're the best, it's a lot easier to believe. So for people who are introduced to certain careers and kind of enter the industry a level up, it's a lot easier, well, at least Tim Grover is saying, it's a lot easier for them to find success because everybody's saying that they're the best. For those people who have to build their image, who have to build the, build the breadth or the culture of, who they are and how that ties into the business aspect of their world, they usually have to overcome a lot more pressures and a lot more challenges. But it forces them to be more relentless. It forces them to work harder. It forces them to perfect their weaknesses. And, having a lot of pressure, you have to be able to manage the stress. You have to be able to manage the pressure, or it can break you. And it could break you psychologically. It can break you emotionally. It could break you spiritually. It could break you physically. So by pushing you too far into your dark side, and you can never come out. So at the end of the day, yes, there are a lot of people out there who are, really good at what they do, even possible relentless. But the thing is after you reach that point of relentless, you have to maintain it. You have to maintain it, and you have to do it over and over and over and over and over again, being the greatest of all time at whatever it is you choose to do. So Tim Grover talks about a gentleman named Serge Ibaka, who's also a basketball player. That's where a large amount of his time is spent. He's a kinesiology focused major, and he helped a lot of athletes pretty much boost their career mentally and take it to the relentless level. But Serge Ibaka goes right at that emotion and tells the media before Game 4 that LeBron can't defend Kevin Durant by himself, which, of course, the media set on fire to get a response from LeBron, who said he wasn't going to comment and then commented at length. That's a closer thinking about it, allowing it to become a distraction, feeling the pressure to prove something. A cleaner doesn't respond to external pressure. He puts the pressure on the guy trying to get under his skin by refusing to acknowledge him. Remember, you don't compete with anyone. You make them compete with you. Total different perspective. One common thing that I'm sure all of us have experienced at one point or another is haters. People who don't want to see you do well, or people who doubt you, or people who blame other variables around you for your success. Overlooking the fact that you had to get up every morning, overlooking the fact that you had to put the pieces of the puzzle together, overlooking the fact that you had to overcome challenges, overlooking the fact you had to reroute your guide and your journey because other people were misguiding you. People overlook so many different things around you, and they say, oh, yeah, like I said, it's a good market. Everybody, must be doing so well. At the end of the day, you can't let those pressures affect you. And when you start getting super emotional about them, it starts to affect your game. It starts to affect your production. It starts to affect your life. And As cleaners, we all have to remind ourselves to just never acknowledge that pressure or never acknowledge the people who are around us and not supporting us in the highest and best light. Most people choose to most people choose not to because it's easier to stay in the comfort zone. But if you want to be successful, to have that place in the sun, then you have to leave the shade. It's not easy to leave the shade. It's cool and comfortable compared to the hot discomfort of the sun. But you can't be relentless if you can't take discomfort, and you can't be unstoppable if you only deal with the pressure when you have no choice. So essentially, one other thing that we talked about in terms of fear is, and achieving our goals is, don't be fearful of anything. And how do you not be fearful of anything, David? You run toward it. So you figure out what the problem is. You figure out where the stress is coming from or where the pressure is coming from, which usually isn't hard to do. And then after you figure out where that energy is coming from, negative or positive, you sprint toward it. You literally sprint toward it and you go run to conquer it. And at that moment, you are then able to elevate your life from great to relentless, to unstoppable. So with that being said, that's where Tim closes closes this section of the chapter. So we'll continue again tomorrow. But I think the biggest takeaways here is, it's a gentle reminder that if there is something that you're feeling pressure from, if there is something that you feel like you need to improve, run toward it, be uncomfortable, leave the shade, run into the sun, and figure out ways to challenge yourself. And this is the thing, as we get stronger and stronger at challenging ourselves, the more and more comprehensive we become in overcoming challenges, right? So then when we run back to the shade, right, and the sun moves on, so we're not moving necessarily backwards. Okay, let's reposition that. Let's say we have the shade right here and we move forward and now the sun is hitting us, okay? What is the sun always doing? The sun is always moving, right? So let's say now our shade boundary, it gets closer and closer to where we are right under it. So now the sun has moved forward and now we're in this new spot where the shade is, and we're like, okay, we're going to run into the sun again. We're going to run into the sun to be uncomfortable. Before you run into the sun, if you're like, wow, like the sun has moved and I need to keep progressing, and you slow down a little bit, well, that's okay. So you just overcame a challenge. And if you didn't overcome it and the sun moved, right, and you couldn't keep moving with the sun, then you just reflect. You reflect and say, okay, now where's the pressure coming from? How could I have handled that differently? And then you go and you run back into the sun and become uncomfortable again, and then you keep pace with the sun. And then if you fail or you don't hit your goal or your mark that you wanted to hit, not necessarily fail, but if you hit it and then you stop and then the sun keeps moving, so you get in that shade again, then you see what I'm saying? It's a continuous balance forward, and a continuous dance moving forward. So at the end of the day, just continue being relentless, continue running toward pressure, continue running toward fear. All of it's an illusion. You create your own reality, and that's the powerful gene that I think we're all born with. So with that, I hope you all have the best day of your life. Thank you to everybody who jumped on the messenger board this morning and everybody who joined us for this session this morning. I appreciate you guys. And once again, I love you, and I hope you have the best day of your life. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m.